All right. So, we all know what's going on with Terrence Crawford, and about how the fact that he's suing Top Rank, trying to get some money back. Basically, I think the main thing, as far as, his lawsuit, the meat and potatoes, as I like to call it, it's the fact that he believes it was a certain point in his career where, he was guaranteed 2 fights a year. 1 year, he only fought one time within that 12-month frame as far as from when his contract started. And he's owed a fight for that, and he's also owed, I guess, $900,000, where they had promised him that they couldn't get him an Earl Spence fight. If Spence was quote available, then that they would give him that $900,000, which when it comes to words like available, it's like, okay, what does available mean? Like, oh, he's healthy, he's capable of fighting, or is it available as far as, okay, does he not have another fight, set up, you know, where he can fight you? I'm not sure what exactly that word, means as far as the terminology in his contract. But as far as everything else is concerned, you know, as far as the racial element of it, saying that he wasn't being promoted right, that he didn't get he wasn't getting given this Earl Spence quote fight like he was supposed to. Even with that aspect of it, it's like people keep talking about how all these different things that you can look at Bob Arum and the things that he said in the last couple of years, during this contract and about Terrence Crawford. But people keep forgetting about the fact that you can also do the same thing when it comes to Terrence Crawford and when it comes to his team. Even when it comes to the deal that he had. I mean, I remember Bomac going on different shows talking about how great the deal was. They understood that obviously if you're not getting certain pay-per-views and stuff like that, then there's going to be a ceiling on what you can make. But the amount of guaranteed money that he had was astronomical. It was great and they loved it. They're like, hey, we don't want to be someone like a Earl Spence that's fighting paycheck to paycheck. That's what they said, because Earl Spence, yeah, he gets a little bit of money up front, 1 million, 1.2, something like that, but he gets the rest of his money in the back end, from the gate, from the television rights, from the concessions, merch sold, all these other things. That's where he ends up, making all his money. So, before when he was doing the pay-per-views, and obviously when he does pay-per-views, also tag on pay-per-views on top of that. So then he ends up making $7 to $10 million, but his actual guarantees are very low. Gervonta Tank Davis makes a substantial amount of money, but his actual guarantees are very low. It's like $1 million. And that's about it. And he gets everything, ends up making $5, $6, $7 million or more, but that's all from the back end. But we've seen his team say this, hey, this guy's living paycheck to paycheck. And we love the deal that we're in right now. That's why we ended up signing it, because it was a great lucrative deal. And it was a great lucrative deal. Was he shortchanging himself if he had bettered himself? Yes. He was, but he was guaranteeing himself a substantial amount of money. It's going to be hard to, say that, hey, this guy's discriminating against me, this and that, when you're top two, the highest paid, fighters on the organization. It's going to be difficult. He was Terrence Crawford, probably, when it comes to pay rate, money's made, top 10, top 15 in the world, probably, I would say, because of the amount of money that he makes. Only a few people, it's a substantial amount of funds, so that's going to be one of the things he's going to have an issue with. And even when it comes to the Earl Spence thing, he was pretty much riding with everything Bob Arum was saying. This is a man who was telling Earl Spence, hey, don't bring promoters into it, because if you really wanted to fight, then the fight would happen. This is the same guy who at certain times during his career said, he was over that fight, that Earl Spence wasn't somebody that he was thinking about, that wasn't somebody that was on his mind, and he was past that fight. And this is something that this man has said as well. This is a certain person, the same person who's, also, we've heard him on multiple occasions say, hey, unless I get a certain amount of money, I'm not fighting that dude. This is what I expect to get. If I'm not getting 50-50 or 60-40 my way, I'm not fighting that guy because of what I bring to the table. I'm not doing it. Okay, so and this is also public knowledge, where we've seen him say this on many different occasions as well. So his promoter can be like, hey, well, he wasn't going to agree to what was necessary to make that fight happen anyway. So that's another thing that people, need to think about as well. We've heard him say these things. Even with the people that he's fought, he's talking about how, he wasn't able to get certain fights, so his pay-per-views weren't as high, and, he wasn't able to grow as a fighter. But this is the same guy that we've heard on multiple occasions say, hey, the guys that I'm fighting are in the same level as a Sean Porter, as a Keith Thurman, as a Ugas. These guys that I'm fighting, Benavidez, Mean Machine, he said it like, hey, these guys are on the same level as those dudes. This is the same level of competition. If they were fighting those PBC guys, they would win some of those bouts too. It would be tough, difficult fights for those guys. It's the same level of competition. This is according to him. These are the words that have came out of his mouth. These are the words that came out of his mouth. We've heard him, as far as complacency, we've heard him say on many occasions, hey, the reason this fight's not happening is because of Earl Spence, because Earl Spence is scared. Earl Spence doesn't want this fight. These PBC fighters, they don't want to fight. They don't want to fight, and that's the reason why these bouts aren't being made, because they're, quote, afraid. These are the things we've heard him say. So just, the same way as, you could quote, look at all, put out all these quotes that Bob Arum has said, we can do the same thing when it comes to Tarrance Crawford as well. We can do the exact same thing. We've even heard him brush off when there was like people like, hey, this guy, Bob Arum, he's saying this and he's saying that about you, he's talking negative about you. And this guy, he sat there and said, hey, you guys don't know Bob Arum the way I know Bob Arum. Bob Arum's a good dude. He's a cool dude. You heard him say this as well. We've heard him say this as well. And he's also benefited from a lot of this, because a lot of these fighters that are, that fight, that train at his facilities with his trainer, with, that management team, where I'm sure he gets a cut out of their stuff too. They were sent to him from Top Rank. A lot of these young fighters that are coming through the Top Rank, Top Rank ranks, they're sending them over there. Where they're kind of like the same way they used to do Manny Pacquiao's trainer. They'll send some guys over there to train, with Freddie Roach. So he's been benefiting off this cycle, and it's been, and Bob Arum said himself, hey, this guy, he could, he has ESPN available to him. He could go to all these different shows. They want to see him at these shows. They want him to go to these shows. He won't go. He won't help promote himself. He won't do the things that are necessary, to bring him to that next level, to make him into a star. He refuses to do it. So, he has that also that he can, they can talk about, because he said himself, he said, hey, why should I have to do anything? They're my promoter. Their job is to promote me. I shouldn't have to do anything. Where the reality is you do, like I've gone to many different boxing events. I've never been to a Tank fight. I've paid pay-per-views. I've watched them on TV. I've never been to a Tank fight. But I've seen Tank at a whole lot of boxing events that I went to. I went to one Deontay Wilder fight, when he fought against Ortiz, the first fight. But I've seen him at a whole bunch of boxing events that I've gone to, because, they promote themselves. Earl Spence used to go to a lot of shows as well, a lot of different events, so you can speak to the media. So they can have a whole bunch of videos out there about you. So when they show the telecast, they can show you smiling and all that other stuff. They used to do this on a regular basis. A lot of PBC fighters used to do that on a regular basis, and that helped, promote themselves, helped put them into the limelight, helped put them into a space where people are consistently talking about them. They consistently did these type of things. So, one thing, people can say what they want, and, people can say what they want. There's going to be things that, Bob Arum and his team are going to be able to talk about and bring forth. That's number one, and number two, people can't, close their eyes to the fact that Tarrance Crawford's been complicit, with everything that's been going on. He's helped push a certain narrative for years. For years, he's helped push a certain narrative. He's brushed off, and he's, when people have, made a lot of, complaints basically that are in his lawsuit, he said, nah, that's not the case. I'm fighting good competition. I'm knocking dudes out. And, what I'm saying? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. These guys are as good as those guys. When anybody tried to complain about the level of competition he was fighting, who he was fighting, he always fought back when it came to that. He never sat back and said, yeah, I understand these are the guys that people want to fight me. I want to see me fight. I need these fights made. Steps need to be put forward. Not that you have to trash Bob Arum, not that you just trash Top Rank, but there's nothing that was keeping you from saying, hey, yo, yes, these are the guys I want to fight. These are the guys that I need to fight. These are the fights that need to be made. Nothing like that was being done. He always defended why the people that, he was fighting in the situation that he was in. That's what he did. He made this bed, and he is no martyr. And I'll say it again, this man is no martyr at all. It'll be the same thing, kind of like somebody in a Jewish ghetto, and you're out here and you got the Nazis, coming through doing whatever they're doing, and you're telling them, hey, yeah, these people are doing this people are doing that, and you're going ahead and you're giving them information here and there all the time. And then when everything finally, breaks down or whatever, you're sitting here crying about all the atrocities that they did when you're complicit with what was going on. Or you're that house slave and you're sitting there, you got the good food, you got the good, nice bed, you got the nice clothes, and you're snitching on everybody. You're letting people in the mess know what's going on in the house, what's going on in the field, who's doing this, who's trying to, make an escape, or who's trying to do revolts. And you keep giving him all this information, and everything breaks down. It's like, oh, they did this to me. Nah, dude, you're complicit. Not only were you complicit with it, you put yourself into a space where you benefited from it. You benefited from the situation. So Tarrance Crawford was in a space where he benefited from that situation, made a substantial amount of money doing it, and trashed and bashed and put a lot of people into a negative light. Put a lot of people into a negative light. Okay? For years. But now everybody's supposed to just, come there with open arms and just, hug him and support him and be there for him. Don't fall for the banana tailpipe. All this is a situation where he's trying to get his money that he believes he's owed. And he's trying to put himself into a space where, with people like, Smollett did with the whole having people fake with a fake attack. He wanted people to start loving him and make him a more attractive character. Where more, more people are going to want to do business with him, and it can help catapult his career. This is what he wants. He wants this victimization as far as he's concerned. So, people are, he's a commodity that people really start to want because of the way that the people are gravitating towards him. Because they're not gravitating towards him. No one's talking about him like that. No one's talking about him like that. And before he didn't care, but now, yes, because now you care, though, because now it's affecting your pockets. It's affecting how much people are going to be willing to, to give you. What kind of deal you can get, the length of it, the amount of money in those deals. Now you're in a space where everything that you've done and the bed that you've, that you set, now it means something. Because now it means something, what can we do? First, we still got extra money we might be able to get over there. So let's squeeze that extra bread and get those funds. And then we can change the aura around me and what people think about me. That could put me into a plane where now maybe then PBC is going to offer me a bigger deal. Where the Zone's going to want to give me this deal. Maybe a Golden Boy is going to give me some kind of deal because people, are seeing that, hey, there's this traffic that's going on as it pertains to me, in a positive light, seeing it as I'm some kind of savior. Somebody's just stepping up to the man, trying to get the group of fans that you've been ignoring all this time to all of a sudden gallivate around you. And it's like, nah. And so because of that, and I'm seeing some people falling into it. Some people are falling into it, but a lot of people are not also. And I'll be damned if this, you know, you're acting one way for years and financially benefiting it from it, and then all of a sudden you're trying to portray yourself into another light, trying to put yourself as if you're something and someone that you're not. But we'll see what happens with him, because it's going to be a weird year for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see Tarrance Crawford fight for a while. But we'll see what happens. Like, subscribe, share, I'm out.